The title of the video, Galactic Command, ignored the warning. Then the humans deployed. When the Galactic Command dismissed strange disappearances and silent signals near human space, they ignored the final warning. Humanity had vanished from galactic affairs, retreating behind a border none dared cross. But when the Union sent fleets to investigate, they encountered not resistance, but erasure. From the void emerged a catalyst, a post-human force of evolution, not vengeance. Led by the transcendent Elara Vance, humanity had rewritten itself, not to rule, but to correct. Empires fell without battle. Stars bent. And in the aftermath, a single truth remained. Humanity had not returned to the galaxy. They had outgrown it. The stars pulsed beyond the high dome of the Citadel, cold and indifferent. Inside, the Galactic Command convened in silence, cloaked in grandeur and tradition. Thousands of light years from Earth, they debated in spirals of language, vocal, ultrasonic, telepathic. But the meaning was always the same. Humanity had been too quiet for too long, and someone ought to do something about it. Archon Vaylor leaned back in his gravity throne, his spine carapace clicking against the obsidian seat. He was old by Theres standards, with a mind sharpened over centuries of strategy and empire. They were given the opportunity to rejoin the Union, he said through a translator orb, his voice a cold rasp. They chose silence. That silence implies surrender. Surrender, Admiral Cothan repeated, scoffing. His bark-like skin rippled with irritation. Or preparation. You forget what happened at Helix Reach. A species that fights like that does not simply vanish. Yylix stood apart from them both, her translucent form shimmering faintly in the low-light chamber. Her species had no homeworld now, only memory and long-range sensors. And those sensors had seen things. Vanished probes, signal dead zones, mass gravitational distortions near Soul's edge. She didn't speak at first. When she did, it was with a trembling calm. The human border is no longer static. It breathes, contracts, waits. The room quieted at her words. Not out of respect, she had no rank here, but because the warning felt familiar, too familiar. It echoed a dozen dismissed reports from centuries past. Precog collectives had screamed of a temporal event, an emergence, something that would rewrite not just a galactic order, but its very memory. Vaylor broke the tension with a dismissive wave. Superstition. Yylix stepped forward. It is not superstition when black holes spin in perfect tetrahedrons, when stars extinguish without nova, when ships vanish without heat signatures, not in war, just gone. We've seen this, only near them. The humans? Cothan asked. She nodded once. There was a pause, then laughter from several command seats. The humans? Vaylor repeated, humored. The loudest, most primitive warmongers in 3 spiral arms? Please, they couldn't hide if they wanted to. Maybe they no longer want to, Yylix said. A hush. She continued, quieter now, almost to herself. They do not transmit. They do not explore. They do not trade. They are becoming something. The council voted within the hour. Observation protocols would be scaled back. Direct interference ruled out. The humans would remain undisturbed until they reemerged, or until the Union needed their space. There was, after all, a border war with the Hydrax to resolve. Priorities. A week later, the last Union probe sent to the edge of the Soul boundary recorded something strange. A void, not absence, but an active silence. Instruments failed not from damage, but erasure. Metadata corrupted mid-transmission. The final log was a message fragment, voiced not in human dialect, but in a synthetic frequency none of the listening races could parse. 3 weeks later, the Hydrax disappeared. Not defeated, not conquered, simply gone. Star charts updated themselves with redacted sectors. No weapon signatures. No wreckage. Just nothing. Yylix received the encoded anomaly first. She didn't report it. She left the Citadel that night, on a private vessel, headed toward the edge. No one stopped her. In a far corner of the galaxy, in a black system orbiting a dead neutron sun, something shifted. Not space. Not time. Something deeper. A readiness. Humanity stirred. The catalyst pulsed once, and the galaxy had no idea what was coming. The void at the edge of Sector Virex, 9 shimmered with unnatural stillness, as if reality itself held its breath. The Galactic Union 6th Armada, a fleet of over 900 vessels from 7 allied species, waited in tense formation. Flagship Vox Alari hung at the center, a crescent-shaped behemoth of mirrored alloy and gravitational anchors, its commander growing impatient. Admiral Kothan stood before the central hololith, arms crossed, 6-fingered claws twitching. "Scan again," he ordered, his voice deep and crackling over the command bridge's translators. "Something is here. I feel in the dark." His first officer, a crystalline intelligence named Tishex, hesitated. "There is nothing, Admiral. No ships. No signal traces. We are alone." "No one is alone out here," Kothan muttered. In truth, the fleet was not alone. Not anymore. Without warning, the stars blinked. Just for a moment, but enough to twist every stomach and processor board. When light returned, it was wrong. Bent, warped, delayed. The void rippled like oil disturbed by sound. Then came the thunder. It had no origin, no measurable vibration. It was not a sound any sensor could register. Yet every living creature aboard the Armada heard it in their bones. Something had arrived. The hyperspace veil tore open, not with color, not with grace, but like flesh splitting. From it emerged a single vessel, matte black, geometrically impossible, half visible in real space and half smeared across spectrums yet unnamed. The Revenant. The humans had deployed. On the Vox Alari, alarms screamed in confusion. Shields activated instinctively, weapons locked on. Kothan snarled, "Fire now, everything." Energy lanced from dozens of ships, a brilliant lattice of plasma antimatter and void-piercing beams. The Revenant didn't move. The attacks reached it and ceased. Not exploded. Not absorbed. Ceased. Each beam halted mid-space like a paused holovid, frozen in place. Then the light reversed. The blast retracted violently into their source vessels, melting turrets, imploding reactors. 5 cruisers went dark instantly. Another folded in half like wet paper. A battle group tried to retreat, only to find space folding ahead of them, an infinite corridor of repetition, trapping them inside their own escape vector. Kothan stared, frozen. What kind of technology is this? On board the Revenant, Captain Elara Vance watched the chaos unfold to a translucent interface curved like a living membrane. She was calm. Her skin was pale, her eyes glowing faintly blue with a deep, almost inhuman stillness. Her voice, when she spoke, carried not over radio, but through space itself, felt as much as heard. "Permission to retaliate?" she asked softly. A pulse flickered across her screen. Not a command, a consensus. She pressed a single point on the console. The Revenant unfolded, not just in space, but through dimensions. The hull twisted in silence, revealing something behind it, something not meant for ordinary geometry. A ripple cascaded outward, not an explosion, not a beam, just a change. Where the 6th Armada had floated, there was now only silence. No debris, no heat. The space was empty. Rewritten. Back at the Galactic Citadel, a dozen systems away, sensor arrays went dark. The feed from the fleet cut off with no final transmission. No damage spike. Just a static hum that slowly resolved into 3 words. "We are awake." In the silence that followed, only one being moved. Yilix, watching from a private vessel hidden beyond the nebular veil, stared at the empty starfield and whispered, "They never meant to win a war. They meant to end one." And far below, Earth rotated silently, invisible behind layers of engineered quantum cloaks. Cities pulsed with non-Euclidean towers. Humans no longer bound by flesh, and the catalyst waited. Humanity had not returned. It had evolved. The stars bent around the catalyst. At first glance, it looked like a structure, stationary, colossal, anchored in orbit around what had once been Jupiter. But it was not a station. It was an event, a presence, human in origin, yes, but far beyond the machines of war that had erased the 6th Armada. It sang in frequencies that could not be heard, projected shadows and spectra that broke alien minds. The catalyst did not simply exist. It asserted its presence into reality. Captain Elara Vance stood at its heart. Or rather, what remained of her stood there. Something taller, sleeker, no longer constrained by bones or blood. The woman who had once bled in the First War was now the interface between humanity's past and its irreversible future. Her skin shimmered faintly, a shifting canvas of light and information. When she blinked, star systems folded behind her eyelids. A voice echoed to the chamber, not spoken but shaped, thoughts sculpted into sonic form. The nexus field are stable. The fold is complete. She turned slowly. Behind her, drifting above a sea of impossible machinery, floated 4 other figures, each a survivor of the original Catalyst protocol. Each had once been human. Each now bore the mark of the change. Status of the outer systems? Elara asked. The youngest, Alric, now more data than man, answered first. 67% of non-human military presences have vanished or gone silent. Some species are attempting to initiate dialogue. Others are retreating into deep void sectors. None pose a threat. Elara stepped forward, placing a hand on the crystalline interface. Galaxies shimmered in response. Then the time has come. The others said nothing. Agreement was implicit. The catalyst had been sleeping too long. Now it would speak. Far beyond the solar edge, the last remnants of the Galactic Union scrambled. Planetary evacuation orders choked communication relays. Civilizations that had ruled for millennia now begged the stars for guidance, for answers. A few turned to gods. Most simply ran. At the heart of the Citadel, Archon Valor reviewed the reports in disbelief. Entire sectors depopulated? Where are the bodies? Where's the wreckage? No one answered. Scan the human systems again, he barked. We can't, came the reply. The Sol region has been refracted. It's no longer obeying standard spatial laws. He roared, striking the console with his claw. Then we must retaliate. There must be something we can... The room dimmed, not from power failure, but from something deeper. A sudden absence of intent, of will. And then the message came. No broadcast. No signal trace. It was simply there, in every mind, in every corner of every ship, planet, and neural array linked to the galactic net. This is not war. This is correction. Across the stars, the catalyst unfolded. Entire planetary defense grids deactivated, not through attack, but by rewriting their purpose. Empires known for psychic superiority fell silent, cut off from the very thoughts they used to control. Artificial intelligences ancient enough to have names in 100 languages wept as they were overwritten by code they couldn't comprehend. In one region, 3 black holes formed into a perfect equilateral triangle, orbiting nothing. In another, time slipped. A single planet relived its last hour endlessly, forever witnessing the moment its fleets vanished. Elara watched it all, not with satisfaction, but with solemn necessity. We warned them, she murmured. They chose ignorance. A pause. Now we remove it. Yilix, drifting in a cloaked pod at the edge of a dead system, bore witness to the impossible, not as a soldier, not as a scientist, but as the last unaltered observer. She saw the shape of the catalyst expand, not outward, but inward, into the fabric of reality itself. She saw the universe notice something had changed, and in the last unfiltered second of comprehension, she finally understood. This wasn't about vengeance. This was humanity rewriting its role in the galaxy. Not conquerors, not saviors, but custodians of entropy. And the catalyst had only just begun. Silence reigned across the stars. Not the silence of peace nor that of death, but a new kind, vast and reverent, shaped by awe and something deeper, understanding. The galactic citadel no longer functioned. Its lights flickered occasionally, as if out of habit. Diplomatic channels lay dormant. Navigational relays drifted in orbit with no ships to guide. Where once voices clamored and empires boasted, now only fragments remained. A hush had fallen across civilization, and in it one question lingered unspoken. What had humanity become? Only Yilix sought the answer. Her ship, ancient now by Union standards, cut silently through warp space. There were no lanes to follow, no beacons. She guided by instinct, by what the void whispered when she listened closely enough. The stars here pulsed slower, as though they too hesitated to burn too brightly. At last, Earth appeared, or what had once been Earth. The planet shimmered in a translucent cocoon of quantum lattice, veiled yet visible. Its surface was a garden of geometries. Forests had spiraled upward into the clouds, cities grown like coral in zero gravity, oceans that defied the moon's pull. Space bent gently around it, refusing to let any violent thought draw near. Yilix requested no permission to land. She simply descended. The atmosphere welcomed her craft. Her mind quieted, not by force, but by invitation. She stepped onto soil that hummed with encoded life. The air tasted of memory and new beginnings. And waiting for her, at the edge of a crystalline river, stood Elara Vance. She was taller now, almost translucent. Her voice, when it came, was music wrapped in language. "You made it," she said. Yilix bowed her head, not out of submission, but respect. "I had to see. We all did, but I was the only one who came." "I know," Elara replied. She gestured to the water. "Come, sit." They sat in silence first. No need to rush. No need to defend. In time, Yilix asked a question every civilization had been too afraid to speak. "Why?" Elara looked at the horizon, where the sky peeled into auroras of possibility. "Because they wouldn't stop. Even when we left them alone, they reached deeper, expanded faster, claimed more. Not just territory, but meaning. They built empires atop assumptions. We stepped back so they could grow. Instead, they fed their own decay. And so you changed?" Yilix whispered. "We corrected," Elara said gently. "Not for revenge, not for dominance, for balance. We became what the galaxy would not allow us to be before. A god." Elara shook her head. "No, a gardener." Silence again, this time heavier. "But the others will come," Yilix said. "Eventually, they will rally. New species will rise. Others will remember what you did." "I hope they do," Elara replied. "Because next time we won't erase them. We'll invite them. Show them what comes after conflict." Yilix felt the truth settle in her. This was not conquest. It was transition. Humanity had not ascended in violence. They had simply stopped waiting for permission. She stood slowly. Her kind would not understand. Not yet. But one day, perhaps they could. Elara nodded, as if reading her thoughts. "Go. Carry the memory. The stars are listening again." As Yilix's ship ascended, she looked back at the world reborn, the humans remade, the catalyst still pulsing at the core of it all. And for the first time in her life, she felt something unexpected. Hope. In the depths of space, across sectors once scarred by war, stars flared to life again. Old ruins hummed with awakening signals. Seated machines moved through forgotten systems, building without orders, restoring without masters. No banners were raised. No orders were shouted. Just quiet reconstruction, an echo of humanity's final message. We are awake, and the galaxy would never sleep the same again. A massive, ominous deep space battlefield lit by the remnants of a dying nebula. In the distance, a colossal alien structure pulses with void energy, black, jagged, and ancient. Its signal dish pointed toward a rift in space. From that rift, humanity's response erupts, a swarm of titanic warships, obsidian and angular, blazing with red and blue plasma drives. The lead ship, scarred and glowing, charges a planet-cracking weapon. Debris, shattered moons, and fragment of alien fleets drift across the scene. In the foreground, a burning alien cruiser is reflected in the visor of a human exosuit commander, expression cold and resolute. Style, cinematic, high-detail sci-fi concept art. For K, high contrast, glowing energy effects, space horror aesthetic, dramatic lighting.